Welcome to episode 4 of the GAC Alumni Spotlight, brought to you by GEICO. This month we visit with former Southwestern Lady Bulldog basketball standout Michelle Fisher. Michelle, thanks for joining us to look back at your time there in Weatherford.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
When I first mentioned you as a former Bulldog, what's the first memory that comes to your mind from that time?
First memory would be our win in the GAC Championship tournament my senior year, which was just incredible. Even looking back, that's just one of the best kind of times.
Yeah, you were going up against, I think it was a number 2 ranked Harding team that year that ended up being the host for the regional. And if memory serves properly, you guys were down throughout much of that game. Then there was a big second half rally by you guys, and seemingly every defensive possession that you guys had seemingly ended in a charge. As helpful as was your rally that day, your defense really stood out in that game. So what was it about that game, obviously beyond being part of a championship, that makes you think of it so fondly?
We were definitely the underdogs in that game. And we had, kind of going in, everyone kind of thought we didn't have a chance at that game, and everyone knew that we were the underdog. I think we were the only people that really thought, we actually had a chance at that game. And then, if I remember correctly, we got down quite a bit in that game. And then just seeing our team come together and just putting together the defensive stops and making important baskets at the right times. It was just kind of a summary of our whole year. It was awesome.
Yeah, obviously, since Kelsey's been there, Southwestern's been one of the most prolific offensive teams in the league. But for once, maybe again, not saying it pejoratively, but to come back with your defense had to be something that maybe you all were hoping would happen one day, and you picked certainly the right spot to do so.
Yeah, definitely. We were kind of always known for scoring a lot of points, and there were times that other people scored a lot against us, and it was kind of just we just have to score more. So that being where we actually kind of won based on our defense versus just being able to score a lot of points. Because really in that game for us, we really didn't score as much as normal.
I think it was a low 70s game, yeah.
Yeah, which, for some people might be a lot, but for us that wasn't really a lot of points. So we were pretty proud of ourselves for our defense, being able to get stops, because they were a hard team to guard too.
Mm-hmm. And then, with that, therefore obviously you had the NCAA tournament there, but your last moment as part of a GAC championship is being able to climb the ladder and cut the nets down. Just first off, where is that piece of net?
So I still have it in kind of our keepsake drawer in our jewelry box in my bedroom with my ring. They're in a little box together along with my piece of net and ring from my sophomore year.
I was going to mention you also have the distinction of being a 2-time champion. You guys won the inaugural tournament back in 2012. How did the two compare?
My sophomore year, I still played. I didn't play quite as much as far as my playing time on the court. I still felt like I played a really important role in that one. As far as my role then was to come in and make shots, kind of when we needed it. I was trying to be an offensive spark, and so that one was obviously a lot of fun. But then I think my senior year, it was just so much more exciting because it had been my full career kind of full circle coming and just being able to. Even though we had been through this season where. We obviously wish we had done better throughout the whole season, but then kind of just being able to come in at the end and putting all of our hard work together was pretty great. Because
if I remember kind of correctly, the year before, you guys made the NCAA tournament for the first time as an at-large, and you guys won a game against Central Missouri. And then I'm thinking the favorite, but just with how dominant Harding was, they kind of set themselves up to be in such a good position. But then it really did show that those 4 days in Bartlesville could turn around to how you remember a season, and therefore, obviously, as you mentioned, it's now your primary memory. As you were part of the kind of like I said, the first era of the GAC. So you actually started, your career when Southwestern were still in the Lone Star, and right at the start of Kelsey's career. What was the selling point that she made to you to join Southwestern?
Man, so I mean, I loved whenever I went to like tryouts there, and like I could just tell that they were kind of an offensive based team, and like how quick the offense was, and just it was, man, kind of just the like speed of the offense, and it was just like, it was really good for a shooter, really good offensively. It was just a lot of fun to play with them.
So then when you guys join the GAC, you're now getting different rivalries than who Southwestern was used to. And I speak specifically to Harding and Arkansas Tech. Just what was it like going against making that road trip like it was always be a partner game? It was always a Thursday, Saturdays. How difficult those 3 years to try and knock off the Suns and the Lady Bisons?
So while I was while I was there, it kind of seems like still I keep up with SWASU as much as I can now. It seems like probably still kind of the same, but those were some road trips to be kind of dreaded a little sometimes. They took like just so much preparation against always two good teams, and even if they weren't having their best year, I mean, they were still like those rivalry games that like anything can happen. Even if like one team should be better, I mean, it just kind of anything can happen in those kind of rivalry games. And so they were kind of just like mentally and physically exhausting road trips because they would just take so much time, like the week before preparing, and then whoever we played on Saturday, we'd have like one day kind of to prepare. So they were just pretty exhausting.
I know obviously you beat Harding both for your championship times, your championship wins. But just do you remember any of those regular season battles with them particularly well?
Regular season, every time we were at during my career, it just seems like just shots don't fall in that gym. That's what I remember about that.
They make small rims, and they swapped it during halftime. You didn't see that.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I remember. It's just like shots don't fall in that gym. Hopefully that's changed now.
I do think that. I think it was last year with the Lady Bulls. They became the first team to sweep that road trip when they won at Harding and Arkansas Tech early in the year. So someone has finally broken down that door.
Thank goodness.
So Michelle, just in your post-playing career, where did that take you now, and where do we find you now?
So now I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I went to medical school and graduated this past May, and now I am an emergency medicine resident at the Oklahoma State Hospital in Tulsa. And
how was that something you knew, and you came to Southwestern, this was going to be your path, or did you kind of find your way during your time there?
When I came to Southwestern, I knew that I was going to do pre-med. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I knew I wanted to go to medical school. Wasn't sure what kind of physician I wanted to be. But I pretty much, since I was maybe in elementary school, have said that I was going to be a doctor when I grew up. I never really had like my reason of like some like big event happening that made me want to be a doctor. That's just kind of what was always my plan.
And this may be simplistic, but is there anything you take from your time as a basketball player into the medical profession?
So Coach Music will just love this. She always, whenever we were either in practice or games and huddles and everything, always talked about how pressure is either felt or created. And so I think just those kind of lessons where in medicine where sometimes, you can have just a lot of pressure and you can either like feel that pressure and get overwhelmed or, just kind of like overcome it.
And how about maybe in med school or in residency, any pickup basketball where you find your way onto a court where you're still able to hone those long distance skills?
I played pickup a few times in school over the past 4 years, and then I have lots of my fellow residents who have challenged me to some shooting competitions. We haven't got around to it yet, but I've been challenged multiple
What
times.
are you saying? Are you saying you don't have all the time in the world just to go and shoot baskets? I find that hard to believe.
Yeah, surprisingly not.
Well, maybe you'll have to, since you are in Tulsa, it's not too far. You have to invite them up, on the off day of the basketball tournament. We'll give you access to the Bartlesville gym, and you can you can show them all a thing or two up there.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Well, Michelle, as we wrap up here on the GEICO Alumni Spotlight, some quick hitting questions here before we let you go. I think we kind of know the answer. Hardest road trip during your time at the GAC?
The Harding and Arkansas Tech road trip for sure.
And how about same thing? How about like a road trip nightmare story that you'll tell forever that you shared with teammates? Whether it was you got in way late for whatever reason, the bus breaks down, you go to the wrong hotel or something along those lines, or just some worst story from the road. It could be at a hotel where you're forced to get out because of a fire alarm being pulled, or anything along those lines that are kind of a horror story. Or you had a blissful 3 years in the league, and this would be great. This would be great PR for all of the other 10 cities.
Yeah, I really don't remember anything too crazy. The only thing, which it's just kind of logistically has to happen whenever we're in the GAC tournament. Sometimes we just have to go to we play late one night and then we practice at 6:30 the next morning, which just kind of has to happen when you have that many teams playing in one day. Right.
Well, there you go. If you're going to take a shot anyway, take a shot at how we set up our practice schedule. That seems perfectly fair. All right. Teammate who fed you the easiest pass for a shot?
First person that comes to mind is Sarah Mendoza.
Okay. And then if, say you've fouled out, no, it's impossible to believe, but who would you have most confident in hitting a shot of all your teammates?
Oh, man.
I know, you can't take the shot yourself. You fouled out. You got 3 early ones in the first half, a cheap one in the fourth, and then a controversial block charge late in the second half. So now you're on the bench. Who do you want taking the shot?
What year is it?
It spans your whole career. So you can go back to Darcy there.
Darcy Fuller now. Darcy Dick at the time.
Yep. All right. Similar vein. Easiest teammate to share a room with?
Kylie Bogus.
How come?
She's still just one of my best friends. So we just, her freshman year, just kind of hit it off and have been really good friends since then.
All right, and then just a couple more here. Toughest player you had to guard?
So this question is a hard one. I will say that I wasn't necessarily the person who guarded the best. You weren't the defensive stopper? Not necessarily. Not what I was necessarily known for. But
okay, so then an unfortunate screen and roll, and now you have to guard someone out at the top of the key.
Okay, so this question, probably Kristen, I believe her last name was Seltzer, from Harding, and I don't remember her last name, Rosie
Silva,
Tech.
Arkansas.
Yeah.
Nope. I think that they would find they'd be on the list of a lot of people from your era, so no shame in those two. I see. You stay keep with Southwestern as best you can there with your schedule. Who, since you've graduated, reminds you most of how you played? Or no one, or you're one of a kind.
I would like to say Haley Tucker. She does a lot more than I did, but she is super fun to watch, as well as Hayden Pretty, which I know she's a point guard. She does a lot more driving than I did, but they have been just phenomenal and just a whole lot of fun to watch over the past few years. Did
you get the kind of shooting range that Haley had? Because she does it. That line is just arbitrary. 30 foot is her line.
Yeah, I did not have that much range. She's pretty much just anywhere on the court is kind of her spot.
Well, Michelle, we appreciate you taking some time back to look back at your time in the GAC. Hopefully your schedule will lighten up a little bit in March and you can come to Bartlesville and maybe you and Haley can have a shootout there, or you can bring some of your medical coworkers up there and you can show them at the site of some of your best moments and show them how well you performed.
Yeah, that would be pretty great.
Well, we appreciate you stopping on and being part of the GAC GEICO Alumni Spotlight, and thanks for all the generosity with your time.
Yeah, thanks, Eric.
Appreciate it.